So guys, what is the most annoying companion in a video game? What's the one that crawls under your skin? Which is your Navi?
Lydia from Skyrim.
I was going to say no, but you get. I wasn't even going to say a name. I was just going to go, "Hey, listen."
Hey. I can just see kind of how like you, Brandon, being like, "Oh, that thing from Genshin Impact or whatever she's called. I can't remember her name."
Oh,
Hey,
yes,
I quite like Paimon. I like her.
She did my fucking nutting. I played Genshin Impact for a little bit. Yeah, that's what going back to the anime stuff. I fucking hate shit like that.
As long as I got delicious snacks, I'm all happy.
It's like, still right. First thing I want to know about this game: how the fuck do I get rid of this thing? There's a late there. Can I drown the little bastard? Fuck off.
Paimon is a bit. I don't know if you played Persona 5. Oh, I'm gonna forget the cat. I'm gonna forget the cat's name. Oh my gosh.
Is it Morgan or something?
Yeah, Morgana.
Is it Morgan?
Morgana is. I like Morgana, but he's also really annoying because it's like, you need to go bed now. It's like, no, I don't. It's like, you've got to go bed. It's like, but I can do stuff. No, you've got to go bed.
It's 9 o'clock at night. I need to go to bed.
Bed, please. You're like, oh my gosh, I'm wasting time and days. But
If I don't want to go to bed, I've got a fucking DVD I've got to return to the store, you little shit.
I want to play video games.
Do that first.
I need to get level 5 knowledge so I can date this girl.
I just want to go back in the dungeon and grind.
You're like, I'm just gonna date all the women, and then when it gets to Valentine's Day, well, it's gonna be a shit time.
See, with the Persona games, I didn't really care for like all the school stuff, but I did like the combat system. So if you've not played it, I do really recommend like the mainline Shin Megami Tensei games,
Oh yeah,
or like Digital Devil Saga. They're really good.
no, I do. I've only played Persona 3, 4, and 5, so. Oh, and Persona Q, but that's a bit different, a bit weird. Which I've not even.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I'm halfway. Technically, I'm not even halfway through because you've got to beat it twice, and then there's a third story, and I'm not even halfway through the first playthrough. So I'm kind of like, I don't think I'm ever gonna finish this game.
Well, I picked up Persona 5, but didn't really get into it, and then I picked it up again, and I got a lot further. I got to like the second dungeon. But then my hard drive wiped during a power cut, so it completely wiped my save game. And I'd be bollocks if I could start to do that or get all over again for a third time.
Nah.
But no, thank you. That's enough.
But
I'll play something else.
Definitely, Morgana is annoying. Paimon from Genshin Impact, and obviously all the fairies from Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask.
Anything that stops you playing the game dead to have a little conversation
Even
with
the
you.
owl.
But no, it's like look at this. This wall looks bombable. It's like, I know. I've done it about a dozen times already. Why are you telling me now? I don't care. Oh.
What about you? Any others you can think of, Brandon? That crawl under your skin. They grind your gears.
Oh God, let's have a think. Lydia's the one that stands out the most to me.
Hello,
I'm trying to think
Fane.
of like other games.
Hello, my Fane. Where would you like me to hold that stuff for you?
Honestly, she's just a pain in the ass. It's just more so annoying the fact that she'll be there with you. You go into like a massive fight. She then fucks off somewhere, and she's carrying all your stuff. You're just like, where's she gone? I've been using her as a pack mule to carry my dragon bones and my heavy dwarven stuff. Where has she disappeared to?
Like, yes, my lord.
And then just the fact that when she does fuck off somewhere, you then find her stuck in a corner as if nothing's freaking happened. She's annoying.
Can we just give an honorary mention to every single NPC who blocks doorways or hallways and you just can't get round them?
It's
Fuck
so annoying.
every character that's done that in any game. They do it in Skyrim, they do it in Might and Magic. It's like, just fucking move. I cannot progress until your AI decides to walk in the opposite direction. Fuck up.
It's so annoying in Fire Emblem Three Houses. Oh my gosh, it's so fucking annoying. It's like, oh, I just want you to move.
Mm.
I'm trying to think of other games as well.
Then they start wandering off into the other direction, so you can get out, and then they stop dead and then turn around again. It's like, no, move! You've moved like an inch. Fuck off. Can you tell this winds me up a bit?
Well, I guess. So, welcome to the Victory Achieved podcast, a video game podcast. I'm Dan, and I'm with Brandon and Chris.
That's me.
Hello.
So, how's everyone doing?
Yeah, pretty good. It's too damn warm in here.
I was going to say the same thing. The heat's getting to me and my brain's starting to stop functioning.
I am not sweating.
I'm sitting in short shorts, so that's a lovely image for everyone out there.
Oh, I'm sitting in short shorts as well.
I'm just sitting in my pajamas, so I can't bother to get dressed.
Oh, Brandon. Anyway, Chris, didn't you want to talk about Resident Evil 8?
I did, yes, because I've been playing a lot of it recently. It's been a fantastic game to talk about. Oh, it will be a good game to talk about. It's been a great game to play, actually.
Cool.
Okay, so I really like Resident Evil 8. Shocker, I know. It is such a good game. It makes Resident Evil 7 feel like a tech demo. Like I love Resident Evil 7. Fantastic game, but it feels kind of like a blueprint for 8. It's like they've got the core mechanics and now they've just fleshed them out so much more with like a merchant system, hidden treasures like Resident Evil 4. And yeah, it's such a good game. If I have one gripe with it, it's that the first half of the game is hands down the best part. I wouldn't say it's like anticlimactic or anything, but there's a certain section in the game about halfway through, which I don't want to spoil, but personally, it's very, very memorable, and it's like probably the most terrifying part of the game, which is great for a first playthrough. But when you're like me, trying to get a platinum, and playing the game like 5-6 times in a row, this bit's like on rails. So it's like, oh, I've got to do this bit again, and there's nothing you can do to like deviate from it. The rest of the game you can play pretty much however you want, as long as you're making progress. You can use whatever weapons, blah 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 blah. But this bit it's literally on rails. You just have to do what the game wants you to, and it feels like it just brings it to a crawl. But especially if you're speedrunning, it's like there's nothing I can do to speed this up. It's like this is it. I just have to get through the next half hour. But honestly, I do massively recommend it to anyone. It's such a good game.
Yeah.
Go.
I was going to say, seeing as I've never actually played a Resident Evil game, like hands down, I've not played a single one. So, speaking of someone like yourself who's heavily into the Resi games, like for someone like myself, how would you tell me to approach the games? Like, is there a specific order I need to play it in? Are they chronological? Are they standalone games like the Final Fantasy games? What would you say for me as someone who's like naive to all the Resi games? How would you want me to approach it?
Well, I would suggest one of two ways. Bear with me here. So, if you want to do it chronologically, then the first you want to play them like in order, in like the mainline series.
Also, 1 to 8.
It's 1 to 8, yeah, because they do all follow on. 6, not so much. That's more like a sort of fever dream that somebody had one day and decided to hand in as like unfinished homework or something. I don't know what. No one knows what the fuck happened with that one.
I think a lot of people try to forget that game exists. I'm like, hey, no.
Yeah, I mean, I played it, I finished it, but
so what is actually wrong with 6?
6 is just hands down. It's not a Resident Evil game. It's just not. It wears its clothes, but it's not a survival horror at all. It wants to be like Call of Duty on acid. It doesn't quite work. That's anyway. So yeah, I would say either go through it like 1 through 8. As the story does all tie together. There's multiple endings on pretty much all of them. Some of them are canon, some aren't. But that's the best way because even to now, it's still got the same characters. It's still got the same casting. Like anyone familiar with the series will know, like Chris Redfield's in the new game. He's literally on the. It's literally on the box art.
Yeah, that's the only name that rings a bell to me.
Yeah, but he's.
Sorry, Chris Redfield. He's in number 1. He's in number 3. No, he's not in number 3. He's in number 1. He's number 5, number 6, 7, and 8. I don't know if he's in 2, 3, or. He's not in 4.
No, he's not in 4. His sister is in 2. You got Claire Redfield, who's looking for him. Yes. So, and Claire's also in Revelations 2, and she's in Code Veronica as well, and that's also got Chris Redfield in.
I'm not sure.
Code Veronica's a sort of spin-off, though it is like technically a mainline Resi game. It's not a number 1, so you can skip that one. But I still recommend playing it because it's still a good game.
Even the Revelation games are meant to be really good. I think
they are.
Yeah, don't quote me on that. From what I've heard, they're meant to be fairly good. Although I think is it the 3DS version of one of them is like what? Why is that on 3DS?
How can you play it on? How can you play it on a DS? Like, do you remember when Call of Duty 4 came out? Around about the same time as Call of Duty 4 came out is when I first got a DS, and I got Call of Duty 4 on the DS, and I was just like, how is this meant to? I couldn't do it. It just does not work. Like, first-person shooters do not work on handheld games. Sorry, I have to say it. It just does not work.
I don't know.
In actuality,
I have Doom on my Switch, and that I can tell you that works on handheld.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Amazingly, Revelations was actually on the DS first. It was an exclusive for that, and then later it got ported to like 360 and PS3. It plays differently to like the mainline ones, so there is like touchscreen stuff. That's been taken out the ports. But yeah, going back a bit, what I was going to say, so you can play on Subnautica, but if you want to play just the first person ones, which is like what 7 and 8 does, and it has a new protagonist as well, so you can just jump straight into 7, and then straight into 8, and you won't really miss anything. Again, Redfield shows up, but you don't really need to have played the other games.
No.
It's just they were like their own little universe with they are canon, but you can skip like 1 through 6 if need be. But I recommend.
No, carry on, Chris. Sorry.
I do recommend like the original Resident Evils, like especially 1, 2, and 3, because they were completely different games play style. They're not first person. They're more like puzzle survival adventures.
Okay.
And I really, really like those games. So. Again, I recommend all of them, but there is a massive gameplay shift from 7 and 8 to the others. But again, really recommend all of them.
My experience with Resident Evil is I've only played Resident Evil 4, but then I have the 1 remake on GameCube, and then I have 2 and 3 on my PlayStation 1, but I've never played them either. Then I've got Resident Evil 4 on my GameCube and my Xbox 360 and my PC. And I've played Resident Evil 4 who knows how many times. It's a fantastic game. But I like Brandon, I really want to play like the new Resident Evil games, and I want to go through it all chronologically. But then I'm in that boat where I don't want to play like the 2 and 3 remake because they're drastically different from their PlayStation versions. I'd rather just play the 1 remake. I guess I'm going to just play that instead of the original because I'm going to have to fork out more money if I want to play the original, and then I'll play the original 2 and 3, probably give 4 a replay because what am I like? Maybe play 5, see about 6, and then I can play 7 and 8. But and then obviously the 2 and 3 remake. But I want to play the original 2 and 3 before I play 2 and 3 remake.
Yeah, cool. Oh, honestly, with regards to the first one. You can just play the remake. Yeah. The first, because it is at heart the same game with graphical updates, and it's got some extra bits in it, like extra content, like a longer story. So honestly, the only reason you'll play the original is more for the nostalgia factor.
Okay.
Which I do a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So Chris, how was your experience with Resident Evil 8? Like, what did you think of the story and like the gameplay and how it all tied together? Because I've heard a few mixed things about kind of the story and a lot of things, but I've heard like it's a great experience at the end of the day. And did you feel scared about any of it or not? I don't know.
No, I thought the story, again, without spoiling anything, I think the story was pretty good. It goes a bit out there, but
Yeah.
it does, by the ending, it does kind of have an explanation for everything, and it does tie up together.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to see where they go if they're going to make a Resi 9. They're going to make a Resi 9, of course, it's going to happen. But I'll be interested to see where they go with it. Because, again, like any game made nowadays, of course, it's got a cliffhanger sort of ending. Because they all do. It's like every single show ever made now. It's like it's got to have a cliffhanger ending. There's got to be a stinger. You can't just let a series just fucking end.
No.
No, but I have got a thought to consider because I'm guessing the main reason why I think Resident Evil 8 became like almost like a meme and so popular in a way
Here we go.
is because of of the girls, isn't it? Like, do you not feel like? I mean, it's obviously it's great that they've done it because it's massively sort of increased the reputation of Resident Evil and just like welcomed more people to the game. But do you think like the actual how they chose those three girls and obviously
Lady Dimitrescu.
yeah, I was going to say Tig Bitty Goth Girl,
Oh
but
my gosh.
That's literally it is that.
Yeah.
so
Well,
do you
what-
feel like it helped increase the player base for Resident Evil because they went for those particular character designs?
It did, but if that's what you're after in Resident Evil, no. That's
Well,
not
obviously, that's
the
what
game is.
I'm just saying, like for the general player base, like it'll probably pull in a lot of simps.
Well, yeah, I suppose, yes. I mean, if it gets people to play Resident Evil, then great. That's fantastic. It's you don't want it for that factor.
I'd be very disappointed.
In fact, it's not really much of a spoiler, but that they've got a massive marketing campaign for Lady D.
Yeah.
She's the first boss. You can
Yeah.
beat her in like over and done in like half an hour.
Yeah.
And then that's it. You just move on. Then there's like the rest of the game to play.
It,
It's a whole cast of characters that had no focus or advertising on.
it's
Well,
kind
it
of
just seems to always be
ridiculous.
the Tig Biddies and the little daughters.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the old merchant advertising thing. It's just like
Yeah.
sex sales.
Yeah,
much.
basically, yeah.
Like
Yeah.
the amount of people I've seen on my Facebook just talking about Lady Dimitrescu or Trescu. I can't say her name properly.
That's why I say Tig Biddies.
Or Lady D. Although if you say Lady D, it reminds me of Digimon. But yeah,
Lady Devamon.
It's more like Lady Double D. Let's face it.
pretty much. But like as you say, it's a lot of people on like my Facebook being like, oh yeah, like yeah, look at her, and then you just go on like Twitter and Instagram, and the amount of female cosplayers just cosplaying as those as Lady and her daughters is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Even
Well,
the
As well.
it's the same with anything else. They're flashing a pan, and
Yeah,
you give it a few months, everyone will forgot about it.
Yeah, it was the same thing as like Lady Bowser
I
or
was about to
Bowser
say
or
this
whatever you
myself.
like it was the same thing for like when you for that first person cosplay as that and then all of a sudden it explodes and then it just simmers down like relatively fast, doesn't it?
Oh, Brandon, I was
So much-
literally about to say the same thing.
It's
Bowser.
literally because it's the first thing that pops into mind when you think about what's happened with Resi 8, isn't it?
Yeah,
So, but yeah, you saw Lady D in the first thought. It was like, there's going to be an awful lot of Rule 34 in the next couple of days, isn't there?
yeah, pretty much.
You weren't wrong.
No,
Okay,
you're
I've
not.
also got another question regarding Resident Evil series itself because obviously we spoke a lot about the video games and we spoke a lot about the video game in the last episode as well.
Yes.
But
Mhm.
what about the Resident Evil movies? I've actually seen a Resident Evil movie, and I thought, like, I guess as an opener, I can't remember which one it was. I really can't tell you which one it was, but it's like, what's your opinion on those as well? Then
I've seen the first two, and they are fun, dumb films. Do not watch them if you think they're going to follow the games. Do not watch them if you think they're serious. They are stupid films, but they are a lot of fun.
Yeah, I've got to say just about the same. They are no reflection on the games at all.
Oh, absolutely.
They like it's a completely different protagonist. The only real thing they've got in common is the word umbrella. Like the first one's close. It's got the kind of feel. Like it's got like a sort of mansion in it. It's got a couple of enemies from the games. It's got really bad CGI and voice acting, which actually is probably the closest it gets to the games, to be honest. Yeah, the first one's okay. It's got the T-virus. It's like, okay, you got the building blocks down. On its own, it's fine. Second one, they tried to do like basically Resident Evil 2. They spilled it into the city streets.
And they kind of did 3 as well, because you have Nemesis in it as well. Because the guy who I never know, I don't know the actor's name, but he played Daniel in Ugly Betty. He becomes Nemesis in the second film.
Yeah, it's alluded to at the end of the first one that's going to happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, second one's fine. More action schlock. Third film wasn't bad. Again, it is sort of massively derailed from Resident Evil from that point. After like the first two, it just sort of stops trying. Although the villain in the third one, I believe, is what's his name? Ian Glenn, who plays Daenerys Targaryen's like bodyguard in Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Okay. It's Jorah.
That's it. Yes, it's Jorah. Yeah, he's the villain in it, from what I remember. But after that, you can just sort of stop watching the films because they just take a massive nosedive from there. In fact, I have not even seen the last one. Like is it 7 films are done? 6, 7?
I think there's 6, and then there's the animated ones as well. Because I know Leon Kennedy doesn't appear in the live-action ones, but he appears in the animated ones.
Yeah, well, when they do make the characters in the films, they're just not the same characters at all.
No. Well,
they're just made the same.
Alice.
Alice. No, she's not in games at all. No. Which I'm surprised of, really. I thought they would have done like a sort of movie tie-in of the game at that point.
Resident Evil 9.
Oh god. No, it's too late.
It's like Ethan Winters.
Oh no, Alice versus Big Titty Goth Girl. Again. We decided we liked them so much, we just did it again.
Should be like Tomb Raider it.
But yeah, back to the movies. I've not even seen the last Resident Evil film, which should be blasphemy on my part because I've done like everything else. But no, I hated the one prior for one simple reason. They introduced a character called Barry Burton, and if you know anything about the games, Barry Burton is the fucking legend. And in the film, he gets killed, and that fucked me up to an unhealthy degree. It's like, you don't kill Barry Burton, fuck you.
Not Barry.
Not Barry,
him.
Fuck off.
Not him.
No, film, no, don't. So yeah, that's my review. That's my review of the Resident Evil films.
The only one I've seen, I think, is Afterlife. And I think the only reason I saw that was because I think it might have been on Netflix or just on TV at one point, and I just decided to watch it. But I think that's literally the only one I've seen. And the only thing I can remember about the film is in the Institute, and you see these dogs' heads rip open. That's all I can remember about it.
So, there's, from the looks of it, there's 6 films, and then 6 live-action films, and then I think they're apparently they're doing a reboot of it as well. It was meant to come out this year, called Resident Evil: Welcome to Raccoon City.
Oh, for goodness sake!
Well, I won't write it off. Yeah, it could be good. I mean, the setting of Raccoon City could be fantastic.
Oh yeah.
Just a whole zombie outbreak, just like the setting of 2 and 3. They were amazing settings. So much so, there was another spin-off game called, what was it called? You played as like the Umbrella sort of like cleanup squad.
Oh, Raccoon City.
Yeah, what's it?
Operation
Oh god,
Raccoon
what's it called?
City.
That's it. Yeah. I really like the premise. It's like when the outbreak's at its heaviest, and it's more of a multiplayer game, so it is a massive spin-off.
Right.
And it got like sort of negative reviews, but I didn't think the
Yeah.
game was too bad. I thought, what's the setting? It's like, well, you play as Umbrella, so you're the bad guys, but you're tasked with like wiping out any survivors, as well as the zombies like, in your way. And it's cool to see like the set pieces from like 2 and 3, but in a different light.
Mm.
It's like later down the line or before the other guys got there. I thought that was a pretty cool setting, and honestly, it's not that bad a game. I've not replayed it in years, but I did enjoy it. I did finish it.
Probably one of those games that you think is really good, but if you play it now, you're like, huh, why did I do this?
Yeah, I've had that with a few games.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of games like that when nostalgia, you think it's better, and then you play it now, and you're like, oh boy, this is not how I remembered it.
So I've been streaming like a lot of like 360 games recently, and even some like newer PS4, well, older PS4 ones, sorry. And the thing that gets me mostly is the controls, because now pretty much every game nearly always has like the right control scheme. You know what your analogs are going to do. Your camera, your one's going to move. Generally, like the R1 button's going to be like throw a grenade.
Yeah.
And I think the one that springs to mind immediately is The Evil Within, because I've been playing that. And the second one's a fantastic game. I've been doing that currently. But I recently finished the first one just before, and the controls are so bugged. To access your inventory, you click in the right stick. It's like, what the fuck? What was that?
That's busted.
Who
Yeah.
designed that?
The game has grenades, but what you think would be like the throw grenade button is actually the crouch button.
Oh, come on.
It's like, no, what is this? And so I died so many times on the stream because I'm pressing the button thinking I'm going to like crouch or something, and he just doesn't do it. It's like, a melee attack is the Y button.
Dear.
What? What?
Do you think that most of these control schemes, which you see in games, sort of, I mean, a lot of the first-person shooter control schemes tend to just come like straight from COD.
Yeah.
Like from the very first Call of Duty, like a lot of the controls have stayed the same since.
Sort of
That-
from COD 4, really.
Yeah, so that's why, like, sorry, but going back to Dark Souls 2, the mechanism of the jump in Dark Souls 2,
Yeah.
that was weird. That took me so freaking long to get to grips with. Like, you have to sprint and then click the left thumbstick to do the jump. Like that was just weird.
'Cause you couldn't do that in Demon Souls or Dark Souls. Well, obviously you can do it in Dark Souls Remastered now, but you couldn't do that. So it was like, oh, what?
Yeah, it took me so long to get used to. Like, there are just always some control schemes. I'm just like, who designed these and why they still got a job?
It's nuts, isn't it? Back in my day when we just had one stick and one button and we were happy.
Oh,
You
That
Mr.
was it.
Mr.
No.
Sega and Atari.
oh, just
Yeah.
put the NES on and put Mario on. You're like, I know the controls. Like, it's so easy.
Nah.
Yeah.
No, it's not easy, but the controls are.
It's the same thing for like when they were actually designing the physical controls. Like, look at the Nintendo 64 controller. What the flipping heck?
Yeah.
like compare that to modern day standards of controllers, and you're just like, oh my goodness. And even like the original Xbox controller, how bulky that was.
Well,
Like, video games have come a long way.
the thing is, with like PlayStation and Xbox, they got proper professionals to design it to like be as comfortable as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially in the PlayStation's case, the controller now is still just the same. It's the same as it was in PS1 case. It's like, why it works.
Yeah.
If we can make it more comfortable, we will. But it just works.
Even the Xbox ones are pretty much the same. I think from Xbox to 360, they've kind of mostly been the same. And the same with
Yeah, they've refined it.
PlayStation. I think it's more like the Nintendo consoles where they've just gone all over the place, and even like the Sega controllers too.
You ever use the original Xbox controller, like called the Duke? That's what they nicknamed it.
Probably.
You could level a continent with that.
It was literally called the
It's huge.
Duke. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's the one I was on about, the Duke.
Yeah, it was so huge. It
Like,
was
trying to
ridiculous.
use that to play Sonic Riders
No.
was like trying to play a racing game when your hands are like a mile apart.
Yeah.
It's like so difficult to do.
It doesn't help because I've got small girly hands, so did not help.
You've got
But
small
then
hands. I've got dainty fingers, which I have to break them to press the buttons.
Yeah,
I think I've probably got the biggest hands out of the three of you.
yeah, probably.
Yeah, most likely.
I saw mine and Brandon's mate yesterday, and he was like, "Oh, I've got tiny hands." I'm like, "Oh yeah, you do, don't you? And you also have tiny feet." I think he's like size 6, and I'm just like, sometimes I wear size 12. What the hell?
Yeah, I'm a happy size 8 for shoes. I feel like that's a comfortable shoe size.
For me, it's like I'm 10 and a half, so I normally wear 10s and 11s, but sometimes I do, once in a blue moon, wear a 12.
Yeah, I've got no idea what my shoe size is. I thought I was a 10, but then I seem to fit in like size 8 shoes, and then other ones I need like a size 11. It makes no sense.
At like work, when my manager came up to me, and was like, "What shoe size are you?" And I go, "Oh, 11." He's like, "You what?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "You're not that tall compared to all the other guys, and you want size 11." I'm like, "Yeah, I've got very wide feet. What can you say? What can you do?"
You're not that tall because all your cells went to your feet.
No, it's because of my heart murmur, so I didn't actually grow that much when I was a baby, so...
I did not know you had one of those.
well, more you know.
But but your feet were like, we don't need a heart to grow. We can do this. We've got this, lads.
Yeah. It's 2021. No one has a heart anymore. No one gives a shit about it.
Like, we'll become the next big thing. Like we're evolving. Like when the whole world turns to sand or snow, like we're covered. Whereas me, because I've got size 8s, I'm. But then again, I've got obviously come from Peterborough. We're evolving to wetness. So I'm on the verge to evolving to that. So when the whole world floods, reach out to me, boys. I'll make sure you survive.
Yeah, your web feet hands.
Damn it.
Have to go either Peterborough or Colville.
Don't want to go. Don't want to go there.
I go there every week to play Warhammer.
It's not fair. I've not got any like deformities. I'm fucked when it comes to Judgment Day now. I'm not going to be able to swim as good as you two.
Yeah, sorry, natural selection, mate.
Well, I don't have web stuff. I'm just...
Yeah, I don't really have web feet or web fingers. But sorry, just posing back to what we were originally talking about. Obviously, we're just trying to keep something on.
Resident Evil 8?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, in the script.
Well, it's not really a script. It's just a genuine topic thing as well. Obviously, we spoke about Resident Evil, like, and the movie side of it. What about just video game films in general? Like, how well do you think they become portrayed and everything?
Not great.
No.
The thing is,
all right.
Okay, this is the fact that I have to answer this question with this kind of tells you everything. The best video game film I've seen is Sonic the Hedgehog, and that's kind of wild to even say that.
Blimey. You know what? I won't agree with you, but I will say it was better than I thought it was going to be. I didn't hate it.
I saw Mortal Kombat about a month back, and it was fine. It wasn't terrible. The fatalities were fucking awesome, but it still didn't make me want to go, I want to play Mortal Kombat. It just made me... I was like, that was a fine R-rated action film. Anyway.
I did really like Mortal Kombat. I'm not a massive Mortal Kombat fan. I've not played a game since the original, but I really did like the film. I think it's just what I needed. I really like Kano.
Oh, Kano was brilliant.
He's got the best lines in it.
Oh, yeah.
It's just an asshole. And I love it.
100%. Without Kano...
It genuinely made me laugh out loud when I wasn't expecting it. There was one bit in particular. It's not even great if I repeat it, but there's one bit where he's getting like leg sweat, and he gets done it once, and then he gets up, he gets done it again, and he's like, "Oh, is that the only move you've got?" Does another leg sweep, jumps over it, and then the guy does leg sweeps again, and he just gets hit by it, and he's goes, "Oh fuck!"
It was just brilliant. Like I was watching it with my mates, and we were just pissing ourselves at every scene. It was great. He literally made that film.
Guys, I've just went onto Wikipedia and I've typed in list of films based on video games, and some of the things I'm seeing here are quite. Like, did you guys know there was a Super Mario Brothers film?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
dear.
I've seen that in the cinema because I'm old.
Oh, dear.
No, but this is the thing. This is the thing that's really creeping me out. So it was given a Rotten Tomatoes rating of 24 and a Metacritic rating of 35. But if you scroll down and look at Pokemon, the first movie, it got a Rotten Tomatoes rating of 15 and a Metacritic of 35. I'm just like, wow, I remember the first film hitting me so much better than that.
It's because we were
First
kids.
film's still good.
It's because we were kids, and like a lot of things you watch when you're a kid, you're like, oh, this is really good, and then when you get older, you're like, maybe it's actually not. But the first Pokemon film is good.
Yeah.
But then there's also the Tomb Raider films. Like the games came out first, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yes, it did.
Yeah.
So I think if any of the like TV series or the films which have really kicked off because of games, I think Tomb Raiders are some of the ones which have, done some of the best. And same for Silent Hill. Like I do like the Silent Hill films. Like I know they're crap, but it's just one of those films. It's just one of those. Like, even both of them, for that matter, I can just watch them, and I don't hate them, but I can just quite happily watch them while having them on in the background while I'm doing something else.
The second Silent Hill the second Silent Hill is wank. It's got the characters from the film. It's just like, no, you've got it wrong.
Isn't that the one where Pyramid Head becomes a good guy?
Yeah.
Yes,
it is. Fucking dear. Oh my gosh. When someone first told me that, I was like, you're having a laugh. Like, Pyramid Head is not... Oh my... I fucking love Pyramid Head as what he is in Silent Hill. And just to get told, yeah, he becomes a good guy. I'm like, no.
What I want to know is why the fuck is he there, and why is the sexy nurses there? Because they're all tied to James Sunderland's psychology in the second game. So what the fuck have they got to do with this?
Exactly. Like, I also don't know if you know how much you know of Silent Hill 2, Brandon. The game, not the film.
I know nothing about the games.
Well, like Silent Hill 2 is just incredible, and like
fantastic,
Pyramid Head and like the nurses and all that, how they work into James's story, and that just the story of Silent Hill 2 is just horror. It's just fantastic horror. I'm not really a horror guy, but that game is just perfect horror of what I feel like. It's got the scary stuff, but it also does psychological horror, and I feel it does a horror story that I feel is kind of what has the strength of what I think horror stories should have.
Yeah, and if you like the Silent Hill games, you'll like the Resident Evil games because they were basically at the time like the two biggest rivals. Yeah. It's like if you like survival horror, you're gonna like both of them. It's like pick your poison. It's like, do you like Sonic or Mario, or do you like Silent Hill or Resident Evil more?
That's a fair point.
Yeah, but I do recommend getting them if you want to try Silent Hill 2 and 3. On Xbox and I believe PlayStation as well, you can download like a HD collection with those two games together.
What, on the stores?
They're on the online stores, yeah. They're not like brilliant quality. In fact, a lot of people moan about it because they dropped the ball on a few things. But just for ease of being able to play it, that's your best bet.
Yeah, I know there's a few things about Silent Hill 2 that they changed that a lot of as you say, a lot of people are like, what? But I can't remember what it is. But
from an actual gameplay perspective, it's the same game. It's more graphical issues. Okay.
Okay. What's that? I've seen this before, but what's that? What's the Silent Hill game where it's basically almost that infinite loop of rooms where you got the bathroom?
PT.
PT. Is that what it's called?
I think that's what you're thinking of. Yeah, where you're just in a hallway that just loops endlessly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I've got that on my console. Because that was meant to be a Silent Hills game before Hideo Kojima left Konami, and they got the arse and pulled it from stores, so you cannot get it for love nor money. But I've got it on my hard drive because I downloaded it at the time. So that's not going anywhere ever.
Holy crap! I'm just going back off topic again. I'm just looking at some of these game films which are like due for release.
Warcraft.
Apparently, there's a Dynasty Warriors one
Oh my god.
that was meant to be released last month. There's also Ghost of Tsushima in the works.
Well, they could just be like any samurai things. Take any samurai film and just slap Dynasty Warriors on it. There you go.
Yeah.
Apparently, you're
Metal
Metal
Gear
Gear Solid. I don't know. I love Metal Gear Solid, but I don't know how I feel about a film.
Oh, the one. Go on.
No, you carry on.
I was going to say the one that's coming up with Mark Wahlberg
Oh my
and
God.
Tom Holland in
Oh,
the
Uncharted.
Uncharted film coming. That looks no. I like both of those actors, but they are not those characters.
No.
Nathan Drake should have been played by Nathan Fillion, and everyone said that from day one. That he should play that. He's got the same haircut for fuck's
He
sake.
does. He actually does. I love
It's
Nathan
him.
Fillion.
That's his character.
It
Nathan
is.
Drake is Nathan Fillion.
I've
How
only
dare he
played-
not cast him in?
I've only played a bit of Uncharted 1, but yeah, Nathan Drake and Nathan Fillion are they are basically the same character,
Yeah,
the same person. Yeah, whatever.
yeah.
I mean, well, you're saying about like good video game films. Well, I don't know if you think it's good, but I remember watching Warcraft in the cinema and loving it.
Warcraft I've got on Blu-ray. I actually thought that was a good film.
You know, it's directed by David Bowie's son.
I did not know that. No,
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, David Bowie's son. He directed Warcraft.
Yeah. Well, there was talk about if they'd do a sequel for a while because even though it bombed over here, it did really well in China.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, Warcraft did amazingly well over there.
Maybe they're planning something.
Yeah,
So-
but although I would have thought they'd have done it by now because
Yeah.
when did it come out? About 4 years ago?
It came
5
out
years
in
ago?
2016.
Yeah.
2016.
Yeah, 5 years ago.
I remember seeing Rampage in the cinema. That came out in 2018. That was okay.
Haven't seen that, but I'm one of the few people that doesn't like The Rock. I don't care for him.
I think I went with my mates and it was just like, yeah, here's a film.
Yeah.
And you got Detective Pikachu. I remember that was fun, but then the end twist. I was like, I don't know about this.
Everyone saw this coming. Everyone. There is not a person alive that saw that film that didn't work it out.
I've not even seen it, so I don't even know.
You know, it is good. It's on Amazon Prime now, if you have access to that.
I do have Twitch Prime. I can see it.
There you go then. Sorted.
Twitch Prime.
Go
Amazon
give it a watch. Oh,
Yeah,
both.
I specifically bought Amazon Prime just so I can get Twitch Prime. so that's literally, yeah,
Yeah, it's a good deal, isn't it?
it is a very
Yeah,
good deal. especially for
yeah.
sub a month.
I'd say definitely give Detective Pikachu a go because it's actually a good film.
Yeah.
It's just it's not going to tax your brain or anything.
And that's
Yeah.
why I like Silent Hill films because you just switch your brain off and just watch it.
Oh yeah.
That's very different to the games then. You have to switch
Yeah,
your brain
yeah,
off. You have to pay attention to what's going on.
Whereas you play like Silent Hill 2, you're like, am I a good person? And then you're just like, no, James, you are a fucking terrible human being.
You're a bad man.
You are a
No wonder
bad,
people
bad
want to
man.
No wonder people want to chop you up with giant swords. Oh wait, that's you. Spoilers. I've ruined that game for everyone. But still, go and play it. It's amazing.
We all know what the actual ending of every Silent Hill game is. The dog.
Yeah.
Aliens.
Yeah.
Yes. So, for anyone unaware, in not all of them, but most Silent Hill games, there's nearly always a joke ending involving dog and what they call the UFO endings, where it was aliens all along.
Yeah.
It's this great reality.
Why?
Because funny.
Why not? Why not? They're normally,
Is
The
that just
Northern
to
Hot-
appease all the conspiracy theorists?
yeah, it keeps them happy.
The actual
so-
ending, like I think the ending I kind of prefer of not Resident Evil 2, of Silent Hill 2 is quite depressing, but then it's like, well, the main two are both depressing, but I think the one I kind of prefer is, it's a little less depressing, but it's more like, yeah, you got what you deserve, James.
Yeah. Do you want the
Both.
bad ending or do you want the very bad ending?
Yeah, they're both bad endings. Like it's not a happy game at the end of the day, but it's a great game.
That's why in that game the UFO like, slash dog ending is the happy ending.
They are the good endings. If you want
Yay, doggos! It was doggos all along. Hooray! If
I feel
Right,
like
but oh, sorry, I was just going to say as well. Are there any games which you would legit like to see like a well-made movie of?
well, I think we'd all like to see a Dark Souls film made.
Yeah, but they'd have to do
if they did it
amazing
correctly.
job. They'd have to do an amazing job at that
Yeah.
to get it right.
I think
Well,
for
I don't
me,
know.
It would be Metal Gear Solid, but then at the same time, I'm like, I kind of also don't want that.
Yeah, it's just going to be another spy film, isn't it? What are they going to do? Like, is it just going to be like Mission Impossible again, or James Bond? What?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it's.
Or is it?
Like the
It's
first
just gonna-
game just feels so much like a film in general. So I don't know.
Well, if they don't cast Christopher Walken as Solid Snake, then they're fucked up because that's literally who he's based on. If he's bigger, he's win.
Well,
So yeah, if they don't, they fucked it straight away.
he's getting old now.
Yeah, but so was Old Snake. So it'll work. It'll work.
Punish Snake.
Get-
Old Snake.
get-
Naked Snake.
So many snakes.
Liquid. Liquid.
Is there a gas snake?
No, it's a solid.
How did they miss that? Come on, you've got solid, we've got liquid, you've got one more state. Come on, guys.
I am Solidus. But what about Gas Snake? No, I love Metal Gear games. They're great.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm the heretic here. I've not even played any of them.
Oh my gosh, Brandon, what are we gonna do with you?
Like anything you guys have watched, anything you guys have played, like I'm like the oddity. Like you guys have got a lot of. I think I'm like I like the weirdo like for this episode. I'm just like, you guys have seen everything we spoke about. You guys have played everything we spoke about. Then here's me. Like I suppose in a way this is a good way because there's probably going to be viewers out there who are probably in the same position as I am. They know nothing about Resi. They know nothing about Silent Hill. They know nothing about Metal Gear. So I guess I'm that idiot who you need to educate, basically.
Well, Brandon, if it makes you feel better, I've played all the Metal Gear games. I've read articles, I've seen videos on the Metal Gear lore, and I still have no idea what the fuck's going on.
Same. They cloned Kit. They cloned a soldier, and now they're having guns as the Patriots. What?
You know the answer for everything? Nano machines. They do everything. Okay. They make giant tanks. They make people mutate into zombies. They just do everything. That's the everything button.
They made a guy into a vampire. Yeah.
Nano machines.
Nano machines.
I suppose they do it just for that plot convenience, because like if there's anything which they can't really describe because they can't be bothered to think of a proper solution for it, they're like, oh yeah, nano machines, they can do anything.
Yeah.
Pretty
It's
much.
basically just magic all over again. Magic. A wizard did it.
Pretty much. Yeah. But,
So I'm very quickly going to say if you want a good video game film, and probably the best one that's ever been made, it's a weird one because it's not actually based on the game. But Scott Pilgrim vs. the World is the best video game ever made.
it kind of
ever
is,
made.
yeah.
Because it's just all the tropes just thrown together into a blender.
It's just a
Yeah,
comic
that was-
book
And there we
movie.
are. Yeah.
The comic book is really good as well. If I take it, neither of you have read it, but that's really
No,
good.
I've just seen the film.
Because you've both seen Scott Pilgrim, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you know how at the ending he rejects spoilers. He he rejects knives and goes with I've forgotten the name now.
Ramona.
Ramona Flowers, right?
Mhm.
In the film, I've always felt that was the wrong decision. I always thought he should have gone with knives. When I read the comics, I think I see why he went with Ramona, but I feel the way it's portrayed in the film doesn't feel justified. It feels like he should be with knives, whereas in the comics, he does try to get back with knives, and knives is like, no, I've moved on. And then because Scott and Ramona are both very broken people. It feels very it feels like they should be together.
Mm. I would say though, in the film, he kind of comes across as like a cheating dick. So even if it did end up with knives, that still wouldn't really be a happy ending.
No.
However, have you played the Scott Pilgrim game at all?
No.
Either of you? No.
It's only just come back onto consoles, hasn't it?
Yeah, we got took off. I bought it when it was on Xbox years ago, so I've still got my original copy, but it has been remastered and re-released. If you like soul-scrolling beat-em-ups with a really, really good chiptune soundtrack, and it's got like a leveling up system, think like sort of Turtles in Time or River City Ransom, something like that. But it's amazing, and I highly recommend it.
Yeah.
So, it's got like several things thrown to a blender. So it's got like an overworld screen like Mario 3. You can replay levels.
Oh, yeah.
I believe there's 5 characters you can play as. Originally only had 4, but then they threw in knives as well as a playable character in the remaster.
Kind of surprised it wasn't one of the original 4.
The original 4 was Ramona Scott and the 2 bandmates.
Oh yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a really, really good game, and I highly recommend it. It's
Cool.
very fun.
As you both know, I've been playing NieR Replicant since it's come out last month. Obviously, NieR Replicant is a Japanese action RPG. Originally, it came out in 2010 and is called NieR Gestalt. And it was the Western version was completely different to the Japanese version, if neither of you know.
Is there a reason they did that?
I'm not completely sure, but in our version, you play. Obviously, in both you play as NieR, but in the Western version, you play as Daddy NieR. So, in Gestalt, your NieR is a dad to. Obviously, he's got a daughter, whereas in the Japanese version, it's a brother and a sister. And with the remake of NieR Replicant, they, for the first time, have brought the Japanese version over to the West. So it's quite interesting to see how different NieR Replicant is compared to the original. I've never played the original. I've watched a playthrough years ago. I've never played the original. I know the story, general gist. So this is my first time playing it. I know you've played it, Chris, the original, and I know you've not played NieR or Automata, Brandon.
I bought Automata during the first lockdown, like back in May, and I've not even turned it on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've tried playing Automata a couple of times, but it really didn't gel for me.
Yeah.
I do, though, have the original copy of NieR in my hands right now. Would you like me to read you the blurb on the back of the box to give you a clearer picture?
Go for it.
Okay, so the paragraph reads, the voracious black scroll plague has all but exterminated humanity, ending civilization and twisting the world beyond recognition. Across this ruined landscape strides NieR, hell-bent on finding a cure for his infected daughter. With keen blade in hand and mighty allies at his side, he is heading into the very heart of darkness. There he will learn the truth about the accursed plague, his child, and himself.
Dun,
Dun, dun, dun.
Obviously, both Chris and I know kind of what that kind of means, but without spoiling too much, I won't go into it. But I'm having a lot of fun playing NieR Replicant. It's been like comparing it to Automata, which I completed twice, and I completed it. I played it again last year while I was on furlough, and actually got platinum. Funny enough. So comparing Replicant to Automata, I can definitely see the difference between the two, because Automata just thrusts you into the game. It's like humanity's dying. There's robots taking control of Earth. We need to save humanity. Go androids, destroy the robots, and it's just like boom, 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 boom. It's it's very anime in a lot of ways, and
The original NieR's more to what I'd say like is a traditional sort of Western RPG to start. You start off in like a little sort of medieval village of sorts, that's playing a guy with a big sword, and then you go into the other world and hit doggos with it.
pretty much. So like you have Automata that's just so flashy from the get go, and then with Replicant, obviously you have the tutorial bit, which if you've played the game and you completed it, you actually know what that is. But if you haven't, I'm not really going to say much more about that. But if you know what that is, you're like, oh, this is who this is. This is who this is. This is what's happening. But then once it's done that tutorial bit and you're then playing as NieR, and you, as you say, it's very medieval, and like it's basically the apocalypse in some way. The sun never sets, and you just go into the world and it's like, defeat some sheep because we need some mutton. You're like, okay. You go back home and your sister's like, hi, and you're like, hi Yona. And it just builds on this world building, whereas you have like Automata that's just like boom, 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 boom. You're like, I kind of don't know what's really going on here. Whereas NieR just kind of gradually builds this world, and it's really interesting to see the differences between the two.
I feel like that's why I'm also reluctant to start Automata, because that's why it took me so long to get into Final Fantasy games, as you well know, Dan, is because if I buy a game, I want to sort of know the story and play the story. Like the only game series which I've been able to get away with is the Dynasty Warriors, because each game is the same story but updated with characters and graphics. Exactly. Whereas for games like Final Fantasy, like because there's so many Final Fantasy games, I was like, I've got no idea. Do I start? Are they all standalone games? Like, do I need to get Final Fantasy 1 back on the PS, like whatever console that came out? So it was only until like you showed me, oh yeah, here's Final Fantasy 9, have a play. I was like, okay, I could actually appreciate it. Yeah. So again, that's why I'm sort of reluctant to start on NieR Automata, is because obviously it's a sequel, isn't it? It's not.
Yeah, like at the end of the day, I would say, like I played Automata before NieR. Okay, I did know the story of NieR before I played Automata, and I think for the general story of Automata, you don't need to play NieR. I think for some of the side quests and more the subtleties of Automata, knowing NieR, it helps a lot. Like you have the character of Emil. He is in Automata, and he appears in NieR. I've only just met him today, actually, while playing it, because I've now just got into the second half of the game. And it's interesting seeing his story in Automata, knowing his character from NieR, and seeing how what they do with him in Automata. And I'm like I said, I'm really enjoying Replicant, and it's been really good to come back to finally play it after all these years. Cause I bet every time I go to CEX, I'm always trying to look for original NieR, and it's just such a rare game, and I'm like, oh, I really want it. But
it is. Am I sitting on a gold mine right now?
Probably.
Possibly.
It's more expensive on PS3 than it is on Xbox as well.
Damn, I've got the Xbox one. Ploppers.
But like I said, I've only just got in, because the game is split into two sections. You got the child section, and then you have the adult section. So I've just got into.
Ooh.
It's a bit like Ocarina of Time. So I've just got into the adult section, and yeah, all the side quests in the child section. If you don't do them, you can't do them again. So had to like grind out all the fishing stuff and all these side quests that were a bit like, oh, I can't really be arsed, but I had to do them if I wanted to do everything. And I think this is kind of the thing where Automata is far better, whereas Automata, you can go back once you fully complete it, you can go back into earlier sections of the game and be like, oh, I missed this side quest, I'll just do it, I'll go back and do it, whereas NieR, you can't do that. Once you've got into the adult section, you only go back to the beginning of the adult section. You never play the child section again. So it's a bit... I feel like Automata has a lot of quality of life improvements over original NieR, but then I think the heart and soul of what NieR is, Automata lacks a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Well, if you think the story or sequels of NieR is confusing, to make it even more confusing, NieR is actually a sequel to the game Drakengard, which is a completely different franchise.
Yep.
But in the first
What the fuck?
In the first Drakengard game, the true ending, or at least one of the endings, is basically the apocalypse, and you spread this black plague, which is the same black plague as what's in NieR. It's basically what kickstarted the apocalypse.
Yeah.
So, yeah. That's not confusing. Want to know the story? Watch something and play something else entirely different. But this is Square Enix we're on about. So, if anyone wants to follow a storyline that's far simpler, just try Kingdom Hearts. Good luck.
7 remake. I mean, right. I'm going to actually play remake at some point, but I know what they've done. Once I've completed it, we can have a chat about that, Chris.
Yeah.
And we can have a chat.
Well, very briefly, I have finished it because I bought it on launch day because it's Final Fantasy, and I didn't want to be in a universe where I hadn't played it on day one. I needed it in my life immediately. But I will just very quickly say before we go on a massive discussion about it that I did enjoy the game.
Yes.
As much as the original, hell no. But it was still a good game. I won't say anything more now. We'll save it for a different day.
I replayed the original and last year, and it still holds up to this day, even if it's not my favorite or what I think is the best Final Fantasy. It still holds up so well even today. And from what I've been told and what I've heard about remake, I feel like why I love 7 is kind of lost in remake.
What I do not like what they've done with the remake is they're adding like extra content now with Yuffie, but it's only available on PS5. But already alarm bells are ringing because great. Because I thought, okay, if you're going to split up the main storyline in like parts 1, 2, and 3, fine, it's a big game. Okay, I'm okay with that. What I don't like is you're now adding like the side characters in as extra. So the payment plan continues. It's like, oh no, now they're chopping it up. If this was like, okay, this is the beginning of part 2, you start this off with Yuffie. Yeah, I'm fine with that. If that's like the actual main game, yeah, but it's not. This is like essentially bonus stuff. So are they going to do the same for Vincent as well because he's an extra character?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm very concerned.
Like, imagine if you compare that to what Final Fantasy 7 and 9 used to be, like a 4-disc game, but if they're like charging like 50 quid per. Like you're looking at like 200 quid just for a single bloody game.
Yeah, I will say though, it is a full game. Like it still is like 40 plus hours, so you don't feel ripped off.
No, I'm going to play it because I feel I have to, but at the same time, I know I'm going to be really pissed off by the end of it because I know what's kind of coming, and I think
this is a curse of like Final Fantasy fans. It's like we have to play everyone just out of a sense of obligation, whether they're shit or not. Which they mostly are nowadays.
I think for a while I've kind of been really off with Square Enix, and I've come back a little bit, but I still think I've been off with them as a company. I don't know when it was, but it's been a while, and
it just sort of happened one day, didn't it? It was like, they're a good company, they make great games, and suddenly they just keep banging out shite, chopping up bits. It's like, what are you doing? It's like they got drunk one day and just decided they didn't want to try anymore.
Kind of, like, yeah. Like I said, I will play 7 Remake, but I'm also... I feel like I'm only really going to be playing it for this podcast. Other than that, I'm like... I could do without it.
Well, look forward to the Final Fantasy episode coming soon, guys.
Whatever that is.
That will be a lot of anger.
No, how could they do this? No.
Yeah, I feel like I
What's
need to play more Final Fantasy before I can contribute to that because I've played Final Fantasy, which is one that was on the DS.
They've
Was it
got
Final
two,
Fantasy 3? I think it's Final Fantasy 3
3
I
and
played.
4.
Yeah, I played 3, 7, 8, 9, and 10. They're the ones I've played.
So the best ones.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So I played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 15.
I've played all but 11 and 14, which were like the online ones.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same.
And the less said about with most of them, the better. Anyway, that's a discussion for another day.
Yeah, that's a discussion for another day because that's a lot of gameplay there.
That's a huge topic in itself, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I've talked about Resident Evil. Dan's talked about NieR. Brandon.
I've spoken about my lack of knowledge of Resident Evil and NieR and everything else we discussed in this podcast.
What knowledge
What do you know?
What do you know?
Yeah, what's in that brain box of yours?
In my brain box, so for me, my knowledge, oh fuck me, what do I know? Obviously, I know Soulsborne. I played a lot of the Dynasty Warriors games, but I wouldn't exactly say that I'm like a complete know-it-all for those. I've played quite a few like generic open world games. I've played my fair share of those, like Terraria, Minecraft, Don't Starve, Subnautica Below Zero, which I absolutely adore. All these sorts of styles of games. I would say it's hard to say what sort of knowledge I've got for video games because I just play what I like, really. Like if
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, so if the last time, the last game I pre-ordered was Subnautica Below Zero. The game before that, which I pre-ordered, was Code Vein. That was the last game I pre-ordered, and I absolutely adored that game. Code Vein is for those of you who don't know what Code Vein is, it's basically imagine that Dark Souls. Well, it's more like Bloodborne in a way, how you have to be very fast and agile. But it's like Dark Souls, how it's that style gameplay, but rather than focusing on the individual items for story, the whole gameplay itself and the bosses and the animation in it is what tells the story. So again, I absolutely adore Code Vein. Very, very good game.
Yeah, it's basically anime Dark Souls.
Yeah, but I'd say that's mainly where my sort of gameplay knowledge is, I guess.
Well, I finished Code Vein last year. I can't see myself ever revisiting it.
Really?
Yeah, the level design, I thought, especially in the tail end, and you'll probably agree with me, is either very bland and very, very copied and pasted.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like, there's one bit in particular I could not stand it, did my nut in. It basically, I can't remember the name of it, but it looks kind of like you've walked into Anor Londo, and the whole map is like nothing but like long corridors. And it just goes on for like 8 years.
See, that's one thing I thought when I first entered that area. It's like, fuck, when did I put Dark Souls 1 on?
Yeah.
Because it literally looks like Anor Londo, like absolute spitting image of it.
Yeah, and they've got like the Blighttown area. They've got which is also doubles up as the place of like the bottomless pits. So it's Shrine of Banana rolled into one. So
Yeah.
Not that area.
But it does feel like it has absorbed. I suppose it's unfair in a way because if you think about, obviously you've had Dark Souls 1, Dark Souls 2, Dark Souls 3, like they've covered, and Demon Souls and Bloodborne, they've covered a lot of your generic areas. So like anytime a new game comes out, you're just immediately going to think, oh, they're taking this from Dark Souls. But as more and more games come out, it is going to get gradually harder and harder to think of original ideas, isn't it?
Oh yeah. So you've already had loads. Like you've had Lords of the Fallen, which like was the first one, sort of copycat game, and then the next one that I played like that, like Souls-like, was The Surge and The Surge 2. I really like both of those games. The second one especially. The second one's fantastic. But it really is. It's like, what if Dark Souls but robots? What if Dark Souls but anime? What if Dark Souls but Western instead? Yeah,
but there's a few other games of those which I want to play. Like I want to play Immortal Shell. Like I really want to get around and play that. Another game series which I absolutely adore as well is Nioh. Nioh 1 and Nioh 2. Again, very Dark Souls-esque.
What if Dark Souls but samurai?
It's Dark Souls but more Japanese.
Yeah.
But again, same sort of difficulty, same thing. Like again, absolutely adored the Neo games. Like, I really like, especially how in Neo 2 they fleshed out the weapon system. Like,
Yeah,
there's a lot more. Yeah, and more armors to pick from. Yeah, it was very, very good.
Yeah, I like the Diablo like sort of loot system they got going. So you're constantly changing out what you've got.
Yeah.
I like that.
The only gripe which I would possibly have with the Neo series is it hasn't got that amazing boss soundtracks. Because like if I was to do like a strict comparison to Dark Souls, when you were playing Dark Souls, every boss had its own absolute banger of a soundtrack. But in Neo, it just seemed to lack it. Apart from there was one boss in Neo which I did genuinely like the soundtrack for. But again, that whole thing about soundtracks and stuff, that's more to come, because that again is a whole topic by itself.
Oh, yeah, just kind of going back a little bit. The NieR soundtrack is my second favorite soundtrack of all time. Well, video game soundtrack.
I'm guessing prior to Final Fantasy.
Oh yeah, Final Fantasy 9 is my favorite, but the NieR soundtrack is fucking beautiful. It's amazing, and with Replicant they've remastered it all, so it's even better.
I was just about to ask if it's the same soundtrack or not.
It pretty much is. They've just remastered it, because you can now buy the remastered soundtrack, which I'm going to do at some point. I've bookmarked it ready to whenever I've got an extra bit of cash to buy it whenever I can be.
Yeah. Because I will admit I've got one of the tracks from NieR in my music collection.
Which one?
I can't remember the name of the track, but it's basically like the overworld when you're in like the big field.
Oh,
singing. It's catchy.
Was it? I know the name. Give me a second. I know exactly.
Is it something like Over the Hills and Valleys or something?
Yeah. Hills of. Oh, what's it called?
Hills of Radiance. That's it.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's not going to come up. Like my personal favorite from that game is what's it called? It's Kinase / Salvation. It's absolutely beautiful, and it plays so much in the child section as well. So I'm just like, oh my gosh, it's so good.
Yeah, I like the Hills of Radiance one because it's like the first sort of time you leave like the home village, and then you're like thrust in. It's a bit like going to Hyrule Field. It's like you just thrust in there. It's massive. You go left, you look right, and go, Jesus Christ! But the music kicks in, and it's pretty bombastic.
Yeah.
It's like Jesus Christ. It's like welcome to the game now. Go.
Brandon, haven't you been playing? You said you've been playing Subnautica. Like, how you been getting on with that? Are you still?
Oh yeah. So I started playing Subnautica. Like, the only reason I started to play the first Subnautica is because it was doing that stay-at-home play and stay-at-home campaign to curb COVID and everything.
Yes.
So I picked it up for free, and I wasn't really going into it expecting much. So I just thought, okay, it's just a generic survival game. But obviously, I'm really used to games like Minecraft, Terraria, Don't Starve. So I've played those. So those were my first 3 proper survival games. Went into Subnautica because I'm not overly keen on like water levels. Because anytime you're in a video game and you're encountering like a water level, immediately you're just like, oh fuck's sake, I could do without this. But when it came to Subnautica, what was you gonna say, Chris?
I was going to say for me, I really like this setting of Subnautica. That's one thing that took me on, because I'm not a fan of survival games. But then I saw it's like underwater. It's like, I can swim with the fishes, alien fishes. That looks amazing. I want it. So I bought it.
That's the thing which actually really caught me off guard when I played Subnautica, is because obviously the whole thing is just based on, like, it's a survival game. It's got hunger, health, like dark cycles. I thought, fantastic. It's a good survival game. And all the crafting aspects and the survival stuff, brilliant. Like, when you first go into that game, everything is just alien to you. Like, when you first go into the game, you're like, okay, what do I need? I need to get copper, titanium, so I can start to build some tools. You go into the cave, and all of a sudden you hear this, and then an explosion as like the plants like come to life and little fishies explode. And then like the first time. Oh, sorry, what?
Sorry, can we get that sound effect again? That was great.
I don't think I can be able to replicate that. It's the sulfur fish, yeah. But again, like that first time when you encounter the Reaper Leviathan, I shat myself. Like, I've played horror games before. I played Amnesia. I played the likes of those, Five Nights at Freddy's. But the first time that I saw that Reaper of Leviathan, is that because you know that fear of being lost out in sea, and you don't know what's below you or far away. Like I was there, like by the Aurora, and I see this like long thing in the distance. I'm like, what the flipping hell is that? And then it attacks me. It was so scary. And then, so obviously, you've got the scary aspects of Subnautica, and then, oh my god, the story. I was not expecting there to be a story element to this game. It is so goddamn beautiful. Like, and to put this into perspective of how much I enjoy the story, I think of any video game I've ever played, I think the story for Subnautica is in my top 5. And that's saying something. It's a freaking amazing story. I highly recommend anyone out there to play Subnautica. Just get into the story of it. Like, it's really clever how they've made the story, because you get given like the survival logs. Anything you pick up, you can scan it with your scanner. It gives you a bit of information about that. You can scan like anything which is on the world. You can scan it basically and get like a little bit of story about it. And yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. And that's moving on to like, I've now picked up Subnautica Below Zero, so it's the sequel. And I'd say I'm maybe about a quarter or a third of the way through that. It's a lot more colourful than the first Subnautica.
Yes.
It's easier. So it's a lot easier, but I can't yet give like a full opinion on it because, as I said, I've not completed it yet. But it's definitely more colourful. But I think my only gripe so far with it is smaller.
Right.
Speaking of gripes, my biggest gripe with the first Subnautica, it's so buggy. Very, very buggy. It will crash very often. You'll get stuck in places. But once you get past that, absolutely fantastic game. Absolutely fantastic game.
Yeah, I've seen a few people stream the Below Zero, and one thing I like about it, I've not played it for myself, but it's just a little thing. It's literally got your objectives of what you need to craft your item on the screen at all times. It's like, oh yeah, I need this. Should probably get that.
Yeah, it's very, very good.
Yeah, it's just a little thing, but when you are playing the first one, you can just wander around, and you just always picking up stuff, but sometimes you kind of forget when you've left for your home base what you're actually coming out for. It's like, oh fuck yeah, I needed silver. That's the reason I went out. I just come back with a load of titanium. Whoops. Yeah,
so that's why Subnautica Below Zero it's refined a lot of the things which Subnautica was lacking. Like, it's got a much better like home building toolkit. Like, you can build more stuff. You've got more like optional extras. It is better like that. And again, like how they refined like the whole exploration thing. But again, they've made it a bit easier, like with how they've added in these oxygen plants and everything. But I guess they've subbed that for the extra difficulty of the fact that you have to stay warm. Like, if because
that's something else to worry about, isn't it?
Yeah. So I guess it kind of balanced it out with that.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, it does look interesting. Like, I played the first one, because again, I really like the setting, so I thought I'll give it a whirl, but I didn't really get all that far into it. I like wandering around and like swimming the fishies, like seeing the ghost of Ivan come out of the pitch blackness and bite my face off, and which nearly put the willies up me, but didn't, because I'm a real hard ass, and it doesn't bother me. So, he says to himself, he's lying.
Yeah, Chris, I highly recommend to get if you do go through Subnautica, just absorb the story. It is. Yeah. I actually cried. I'm not kidding. I actually cried.
Really?
Yeah, honestly, I cried. The ending of Subnautica made me cry.
I've never played either of them, so I kind of have no knowledge on this. Like, I know what they are, and they seem really interesting games, but I've not played either of them. I don't own either of them either.
I think the reason you cried, Brendan, is you had all that salt water in your eyes. It's not going to help.
It's definitely the salt water.
Someone getting salty.
Nah.
Hey.
Yeah, Dan, I highly recommend you play it. It is difficult to like. You're probably going to the first few times you play the game, you're going to make a lot of mistakes. You might find yourself constantly making a new world, but once you get past that and make like your final world and get through it, it is such a beautiful game. So
it's randomized every time you try it, is it not?
Not obviously. It's the same world will generate each time. Your spawn place will be randomly designated around a certain biome, so the safe shallows will be randomly generated around there. some of the scannable objects, like crash objects of the Cyclops, the prawn suit, and the sea moth and everything, they will be randomly spawned in. Well, no, again, they're not randomly spawned. There's possible seed locations of where they can be, but that will change depending on the seed of that world. But yeah,
I feel the kind of game it is. I did actually pick it up a couple of weeks ago after we were talking about it, so to give it another go, and I got further than the first time, but I still didn't get all that far. I managed to build myself a couple of vehicles, like the deep dive pod or whatever it's called. So I did get further. Yeah, that's it. And I managed to find some dry land as well, like an island to explore. But I didn't really feel the need to keep going after that. It's like I'm getting bored.
So the thing is with Subnautica that like there are certain objectives you have to do for the story to progress, and the clever thing is it doesn't immediately point it out what the story is. It will steadily feed it in, but there'll be certain checkpoints which obviously you'll need to get through for the story to progress. So you've just got to somewhat get lucky in a way that you manage to get them right.
Yeah, how I felt about it is like I know I need to find these parts, but they could be anywhere. I could just be wandering around for ages trying to find one part.
You will have to use the Subnautica wiki for that, because again, every time I play the game, I'm like, I'm missing one part of the prawn suit grappling arm. Where the hell is this? So I have to use like the wiki to say, oh yes, in this.
Yeah, it's just a massive open world. It's like, fuck me, I could be doing this for days. It's like, and I think that's what put me off. Really.
Yeah, the game is huge. It's like it's 2,000 meters deep and about like 4,000 meters wide. Like it is a huge map. It's so easy to get lost as well.
It sounds like
It
sounds like you've had a lot of fun with it, Brandon.
I have, honestly. It's been an absolute blast.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like an interesting game. And if you say, I might pick like the first one up if it's on sale or something like that. Might be something to give it a go. I'm sure we're all the same. We've got so many games, so little time. Who knows when we get to play whatever we want to play.
That's why I booked next week off work.
I still got I put Persona 3 on hold like 5 years ago, and I've still not got back to it.
Very quickly, Brandon. Still on Subnautica. For anyone who's not played the series at all, I know you have not finished it yet, but would you? Because you say it's easier. Would you recommend saying maybe jumping to Below Zero first and then going back to the first one, or would you recommend to still do the first one first?
I'd still go for the first one, purely because there's a lot of aspects in the second one which at the very beginning of the game. Well, actually, saying that, if you play Subnautica Below Zero, it actually gives you a better tutorial at the start. It points it out a lot easier what the first couple steps are. So I guess if you play like the first hour of Below Zero, that will give you a very good idea of how to start, and then you can go back to Subnautica.
And you sort of go, I know what I'm doing now.
Yeah, but I mean, me personally, I'd probably still say play the first Subnautica, because a lot of the story in Below Zero comes from the first game.
Okay, now we know.
But that's just my opinion. It could be an unpopular opinion, but that's just how I personally feel about it.
No.
And your opinion matters.
Someone's has to.
Yeah.
No, I'm glad you've been having a lot of fun with it.
Oh yeah, it's so beautiful. So I can't wait to see how the story, from what I've seen in the story of the second game, they're taking a lot more of a sci-fi turn with it.
Yes.
But it's kind of cute in a way. Like same thing for the ending of Subnautica 1. It's kind of cute, but then it just takes its turn. And you're like, oh, actually, I'm quite sad now. So I think I'm going to get the same emotional roller coaster with Below Zero.
Yeah.
Because we're starting to get this bit of a story going, and I just get this feeling I'm going to get to the ending and like, you know what? That was a really beautiful story, and I'm very, very sad now.
No, that's good. Like we definitely all played recently 3 very different games. You got Resident Evil 8, Subnautica Below Zero, and then NieR Replicant. All very very different games. You've got like a horror, a JRPG, and like a diving kind of open world horror simulator. That kind
Yeah,
of,
if you peel back the labels of Subnautica, it is a survival horror game.
I want the listeners out there to play a drinking game of sorts. So no matter what game we're talking about, let's see. Take a shot every time one of us does a comparison to Dark Souls. Anyway,
It's like Dark
we'll
Souls.
always try and come back it. Yeah, it's like Dark Souls, but this.
Oh, I played NieR. It's like Dark Souls, but it's like this.
I play
Yeah.
Subnautica. It's not like Dark Souls.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. It's got water in it, and that reminds me of Shrine of Amani.
Oh, yeah.
But actually, saying that, every time you scan items, you have to read the item description to tell you the story, which again is
There
literally
you go.
Dark
There you go. It's the Dark Souls of undersea exploration games.
There you go.
Deep Souls.
It's like I played Crash Bash. It's like Dark Souls because of this.
Oh yeah, that's definitely Dark Souls. I don't know what you're talking about.
It's like Dark Souls because you die in it. And
Oh,
Yeah, you rate it.
like trying to get that as one per fruit. Fuck you, everyone else, and yeah, pretty much.
yeah, you die, you lose your one for fruits. It's just like losing souls. It's just
But at the end of the day, when you do play these games, at the end of it, it's always victory achieved.
correct.
No.
Unless, of course, you're watching the Resident Evil films. This is not victory achieved.
There's no
No.
victory for that.
It's
No.
Silent Hill 2, mate. You need Pyramid Head as the ally.
Victory achieved when you get Pyramid Head as a friend.
How can we make victory achieved better? Put a pyramid head in it. Yeah.
Funny enough, in NieR Replicant, there's the desert town. They all wear masks and they do look a bit like Pyramid Head.
Really? Oh, cool.
Do you not remember that, Chris?
I don't know if I got that far enough into it, to be honest with you. I can't remember it. It's been years.
Yeah, no, I understand. But there's like a desert town. They're all called the Masked People, and the king. I think is it the king or there's a few of them that their masks look like Pyramid Head. And it's like what?
Can I just take a moment to appreciate that for a game that's meant to be all based around philosophy and really deep thinking, they call the people with masks on just the masked people. That's,
Yep.
that's some fantastic description. Should we give them a name? Nah, masked people. That'll do.
People.
No. So I think that's probably going to be it for us for this second episode. I've been Dan, and this has been Brandon and Chris. And
That's me.
we'll see you
Like
next
me.
time. We'll see you next time, whenever that is, and whatever subject we'll be talking about then.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm sure we can think of something. So you can find Brandon over at twitch.tv/Cybaka, SCIBAKA.
Link
I spelled that right. Yay! And you can find myself over at twitch.tv/Spanky Rambles.
link in the description.
Hurrah! Shameless plugs.
Yes. And I'm just me doing my own thing.
Not sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends.
No, definitely not. No. Take care, everyone, and we'll see you next time.
Yep, stay safe, everyone.
Bye bye and bye.
Bye.